Can I request all of them to just mute themselves? Somebody is, some child is speaking. So can I request all of you to mute yourself, please? Okay, Meenakshi ma'am. Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Today we have wonderful, enthusiastic, creative lady in music, sports, arts, drama field, especially for preschool education. She is director of Helen O'Grady International Preschool. She is a strong leader in the field of education and child development. Yes, she is none other than Mrs. Archana Dange ma'am, who is having an experience of nearly 3 decades in the field of education, of which the last 14 years has been spending her time especially with preschool education. Archana ma'am is a Sherry Blair alumni and an author with Oxford University Press for kindergarten and primary textbooks. She believes in using creative methods in education through storytelling, music, drama, and theater. Archana ma'am is firmly believes in holistic nature of education that involves more outdoor and hands-on trainings for kids. She works with many schools across the country to develop creative modules in primary education. She has a wonderful team and under her mentorship has developed educational material in print, workbooks, slideshows, street plays, stories, songs, and etc. Beside encouraging the use of local traditional media. Archana ma'am has authored textbooks with the Oxford University Press for kindergarten and primary grades. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to Mrs. Archana ma'am. Over to Archana ma'am. Hello.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. Ma'am, you're audible.
But somebody else is speaking, I think.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Meenakshi ma'am, for that lovely introduction. Well, I won't come between you and Archana ma'am. Archana ma'am, I invite you. Please, it's all yours.
Very much. I'm indeed very delighted to be here today amongst all of you. Looking forward to learning a lot from you guys. I'm sure all of us, we have been involved with preschools, we run preschools, we work with children, we work with parents, with teachers. So there's so much experience that all of us collectively share. So looking forward to learning more from you as well. I've come just to share a few of my thoughts. When we grew up, we all grew up in very structured, boxed education. And, today's children, today's world is very, very different from the kind of world we thought we were growing up inside. So that is why our education also needs to keep changing. We cannot teach the way we were taught because things have changed. And if our children today have to be ready for the new reality, then, well, the way we teach them, the kind of skills we are building in them, that has to change. So there has to be change on two aspects: content and methodology. Both have to change. So I think today I'm going to be looking at a little bit of content and a little bit of methodology. So under the content aspect, I'm not going to discuss how to teach letters, how to teach numbers, when to start writing. Okay, this has been done for centuries. But what I'm thinking of doing today with you is trying to see whether it is important for us to remember that, maybe when our grandparents were growing up, they used to grow up at home till the age of 7 or maybe even 8, and then they would go to school. My grandfather used to joke with me. He said whenever his parents used to take him to admit him into school, the headmaster used to make him do some exercise, take your hand around and hold your nose, something like that. And only if you can do that, you can enter the school. Otherwise, you're not yet old enough to enter school. So earlier, we used to take our children into the grade 1, maybe when they were 6 or 7. And that's when we felt that children were ready enough for the mainline school. Until then, what would they do? They would be at home, and there would be a lot of people at home. And these lots of people, what were they doing? They used to tell stories. They used to get the children to help at home, teach them small things to do at home, teach them how to put rangoli maybe, teach them how to help them with the daily chores in the house, teach them how to sing songs, play games, and all that is today not really there enough for these children. So now today's world, we are sending our children to school, to preschool at the age of 2 years. So 2 years to 7 years or 2 years to 6 years, they stay with us in a preschool. Now, I think the mentality has to change. In fact, I think the word preschool itself has to change. The more we think of ourselves as preschool, the more we are going to be tempted to do what a school does. And that's what we should not be doing at this age. So we are not a preschool. We are an early learning program. What does an early learning program mean? It means we understand that these children are early learners. They are in the age group 2 years to 6 years. And early learners need a very different kind of learning. So that is something we have to respect and we have to understand and we have to implement. Sometimes when we call it preschool, what happens? We start to 6. They were listening to stories, they were singing songs, they were doing small activities around the house. All these kind of things are what really are extremely important for our children. There is so much in our traditional system about how children at the age, below the age of 6 and 7, they are like absorbing sponges and they can kind of remember everything that you tell them. So there's so much that they can learn in terms of what the world is all about, in terms of nature, in terms of how the seasons change, what seasons bring, what are the different fruits and vegetables in different seasons. So it's very important for us as curriculum developers, as people who are running preschools, to make sure that the local knowledge which is there is reflected in our curriculum. It is not just about teaching what a textbook has. Now people have started making textbooks for pre-KG also. But textbooks are very generalized information. They will say 10 vegetables, 10 fruits, 10 flowers, 10 trees, 10 birds, 10 animals. This is what they say. Now whether that animal exists in our country or not, our children have to learn about it. But they may not be able to understand which animals exist in our country. So I think we must move away from that kind of education and make it something which is more relevant for our kids. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to share my screen with you. Please give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am, we can see.
Well,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, we can see.
Yes, ma'am. We
Yes,
can
ma'am.
see.
Okay, great.
It's
Yes, ma'am.
visible.
We can see you.
Yeah. So one of the most important So this is something that all of us in the field of education are very familiar with. This is the Bloom's taxonomy, and this is what we are talking about here.
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, shall I request all to mute their mobiles?
Yes, please.
Please, all of you.
Ma'am, please as admin, can you please make this thing of muting all, and then you can unmute whoever you want to unmute.
Yeah,
Then
actually,
people won't be able to unmute you.
yeah. I'll just.
So use
Yes,
that
ma'am, we are
option.
doing that. Yes, ma'am, we are doing it. Let Archana ma'am continue. Archana ma'am, you can continue. We are doing it.
Okay, great. So can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, great. So
Ma'am, please continue.
as educators, I think this is a very important slide. This is the Bloom's taxonomy. Now, who is Bloom? Mr. Benjamin Bloom was the first guy who kind of tried to understand how does learning happen. And if you see that learning has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stages. The first stage is remembering. The second stage is understanding. Then it is applying, then analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Now, when we are born and as children, these skills of analyzing, evaluating, and creating are really very high. That is how a child is able to, learn how to turn on his back without giving up. He will analyze how much strength to use and then turn on his back, pull himself by the stomach, slowly move from there to the sitting posture, slowly from there move to the standing posture. See how much brain work is required for this. And how does the child do this? Because the child is able to analyze, he is able to evaluate, and he is able to create in the process. And as children, we are all born extremely creative. We have this ability to analyze, evaluate, and then take a new step, make something new. So these are called higher order thinking skills, and higher order thinking skills are the highest in the children. And then of course, as we grow up, we kind of keep unlearning how to be creative, and then we work more on memorizing. So our skill to remember things, our skill to understand things, those are given more importance. And then slowly we forget about being creative, and we stop at maybe the green color on applications. But education is supposed to reach the highest pinnacle of learning, which is creating. So as children, we are already very creative. As we go higher up in the fields of education, because of the present systems where we are constantly coaching children to remember and understand, we many a time forget that understanding and remembering are only called LOTS, lower order thinking skills. I'm saying that again. Remembering and understanding are called lower order thinking skills, whereas creating, evaluating, and analyzing are called higher order thinking skills. So we are born with higher order thinking skills, But somehow in our education system, we are training our children to become lower order thinking. So this is something we have to avoid. I don't think I need to explain this. I'm very sure all of you know this already. This is the multiple intelligences by Howard Gardner, where he says that the intelligence of the human mind is not just one thing, but it is divided into 8 or nowadays 9 different aspects. And some children are better at some aspects and some children are better at others. So there is no child who is not born with some intelligence being more active than the other. So this is what it says, and I'm not going into this because I'm sure you guys already know this. So let's look at the important skills that we need. What are the very, very important things that we should be concentrating upon? These are the 4 main skills that we need to remember to hone in our children while they are in preschool. We need to help them to learn how to communicate. Before they come to our preschool, they are only at home. And at home, they are only communicating with their parents, right? That they are very confident about. And as a mother, even if my child makes a small sound, I will know what the child is saying. But when the child comes to outside world, the child should know how to communicate, should know how to tell others, talk to the teacher, talk to the friends in the class, talk to the helper. You know, if there is a resource person who comes to the school, the child should know how to talk to the resource person, should be able to speak to others whom he meets later on. So communication is one of the major tool that we need to build. What is another tool that we need to build? We need to build critical thinking. What is critical thinking? It is the ability of the child to be able to think for himself or herself without us prompting it. So what we should not do is, we should not give them a set of blocks and say, come on, build a tower, let me see how big a tower you can build. That's the wrong way of doing it. What we need to do is keep the blocks in front of the child. Allow the child to do what he wants to do with the blocks. He wants to build a tower, or he wants to do something else, or he just wants to throw the blocks and play with it, or he just wants to put them all flat on the ground. It's his choice or her choice. And that's what we call ability to choose what to do. And it reflects the thinking process that the child has. And to that child who has maybe put all the blocks down on the ground in one plane, if you ask the child, what is this? The child may give you a very different answer. He may say, this is a palace, or he may say, this is a camel, or he may say, this is a tiger, depending on what he's thinking about in his head. And that's important. So you are not dictating to him what to think. You are asking him what he's thinking and you're respecting that thought. So the process of critical thinking starts by making space for children to think for themselves, for them to tell you what they are thinking, and for you to be non-judgmental about it. You cannot say when a child is showing you something which he has made and it doesn't look at all like a rocket, but he tells you it's a rocket, you cannot say, this is a rocket, no, you are wrong. That can never be done, right? So that's what we call encouraging critical thinking skills. So give children the confidence to tell you what they are thinking, do not judge them. And of course, collaboration is important. As they grow up, they have to learn how to work in groups, have to learn how to network with one another, how to work in collaboration as in division of labor maybe. These are things that come in the highest once they go into school, and these skills are grow up and become into their careers. So all these things helps you to encourage something called innovation or creativity. So when you have a preschool that encourages communication, encourages critical thinking, encourages collaboration, that's when you are a creative preschool. You are encouraging children to think creatively, express creatively, collaborate creatively, and the whole process becomes that much more meaningful for the children. This is something I think all of you are again very familiar with. These are the 21st century learning skills. The whole world is aligning their education to the 21st century skills. So, I think our present national education policy has spoken a lot about integrating these 21st century learning skills into the curriculum of foundational learning, which includes preschool and grade 1 and 2. So critical thinking, and why is it important? Because we are looking at problem solving, we are looking at helping children to understand that there is a plan A, there's a plan B and a plan right up to plan Z. So these are things that helps you when you are doing critical thinking. You are giving them alternatives, you are trying to think about alternatives. So these are again some pictures for you on play and how children, when left to themselves, can create various things out of using their own imagination, and that is what critical thinking does. It gives you the freedom to think and imagine. So creativity is another thing which is very important. What is it? It is thinking out of the box. How many times are you allowing your child to think out of the box without telling him or her what to do? Draw an apple, and then you want the child to draw the apple the way you have drawn it, or color it the way you have colored it. So your thoughts, but how does the child want to do it? So these are their thoughts. The more you are able to encourage them to think and give out their ideas, their creativity, that is when they feel more and more confident to innovate. They will know that you will not judge them. You will not say, oh, such a silly idea, how will you do this? So if we do that, then children will go 10 steps back. But if we say, wow, that's a great idea, tell me how you're going to take the next step, then children get more and more confident to express their creativity. So I was talking to you about bringing art into the classroom. I know all of us as teachers, we make a lot of puppets all the time to tell our stories to our children. But what if we turn it on our head? What if we tell the children that we want them to make the puppets? So these are some pictures of the puppets that our children have made. As you can very well guess, this is the lion and the mouse story, very famous story, and all of us use it in preschool, right? But most of the time when we do lion and mouse, what do? We make the lion puppet, we make the mouse puppet, and we go and tell the story in the class as teachers. But here, what are we doing? When we want to do a critical thinking or a creative thinking program, what do? We say, okay, children, tomorrow I'm going to be telling you the story of the lion and the mouse. Okay? So today when you go back home, I want you to sit and make a puppet of the lion and the mouse with whatever you have at home. No going and buying anything from the shop. So whatever is at home, they make it out of that. So this is one of the ways, and this was done with the UKG children. So it was one of the ways of getting children to imagine, their own puppets, their own lions, their own mice, right? I'm just stopping share for a minute because I want to also show you. So continuing with that activity, I'm not sure if you can see this, but this is a storybook. Children, what we asked the children to do is, we gave them a what if. We said, what if the mouse was the strong man and the lion was a very scared thing? What if? Right? And then we gave them many such what ifs. We said, what if the lion and the mouse were the best of friends? Okay? So when we gave them some of these what ifs, that's when their brains started thinking, oh, okay, it doesn't always have to be that the lion got angry and caught the mouse and said, I want to eat you, and the mouse will say, oh, but please leave me, I will help you on another day. So the story does not always have to be like that. It can be different also. And so we told the children, why don't you think up a story of your own? Maybe a story where the lion and the mouse are friends. Maybe the story where the lion is very scared and the mouse is the hero. You know? So then they came up with stories, and we have kind of documented all their stories, and we have brought out a book with all their stories. And so, I mean, this is just again to tell you that children are so creative, and all they need is a little bit of a hint, and they will start thinking on their own and bring it out. So when they do something like this, it is a creative process, it is a thinking process. You are teaching them how to think, you're forcing them to think, and then you are valuing it. You're saying, wow, I loved your story, thank you so much. Let me put your story up on the notice board. Let me illustrate your story for you and bring it out in a book. So you are valuing what they're doing. And that's really the best way of telling them how to, the fact that you encourage them to keep doing this more and more. Then the other thing that I want to talk to you today is communication. Very important for us all to communicate, especially our children have to communicate. How do we communicate? Most important part is listening. So every preschool has to first start by building listening skills. We all know that. And how do we build listening skills? One of the very beautiful tool to build listening skills is storytelling. Another very beautiful way of doing it is music. Okay, so these are the two things that you can use to build listening skills. And once you have listening skills built, they also need to comprehend. What do you mean by comprehend? They have to understand what they are listening. So if you are telling them a story, they should be able to understand that story. So in a preschool, how do you build comprehension skills? You build by, in the beginning, using 2 languages or 3 languages which the children are comfortable with, and slowly moving to the main language that you want to introduce to them. If it is English, it is English. If it's Marathi, it's Marathi. If it's Hindi, it's Hindi. So whichever you want to introduce as the main language, slowly move there. So the comprehension keeps increasing as you follow this process. And then children need to be able to analyze. So how do you help them to analyze? By creating a whole lot of what ifs. So you tell them a story and then you say, what if it was different? What if it happened today? What if it happened in your house? So you help them to keep thinking differently. And then, of course, evaluate whatever they are talking about in terms of, whether they are understanding your thought process, are they understanding your question? And then, after all of this, they should be having the confidence to talk about what they did. So if they have made a new story, they should be able to tell you what that story is. So that is why communication is very important. So if they don't know how to use words to communicate, that is a problem. If they do not have the confidence to communicate, that is a second problem. So both these things we have to take care of. Children don't talk to us. Sometimes we say that she's very shy. Yes, she is very shy. She needs probably more confidence to be able to talk to you. That confidence can come when you are encouraging, when you encourage them to keep using language in a fun way. So one of the things that we have introduced and we really have seen wonderful results is drama. So drama is a very beautiful way of introducing language. I don't know if you can hear this. It's this little boy, again from the upper KG, you can see he's made his lion and the mouse puppet, and he's giving conversations. He's building the conversation between the lion and the mouse. So he's trying to build his language skills. He's using all broken sentences, but he's still doing it. So that is how they always begin. So drama helps children to imagine, visualize, their own thinking comes out, improving their clarity of speech and improving vocabulary. They learn new words and then they learn how to think independently and build their confidence to use their independent thoughts and sentences to talk to you. So this is why drama is very important. So when we say drama, what do we really mean? So one class of drama lasts for about 20 minutes. So in those 20 minutes, what do? The first part we give them an imagination exercise. We say, okay children, now we are all picnic. Who wants to come with me? And then they all put up their hands, etc. And then we go on a picnic. And then as we are going on the picnic, we ask questions to the children. Where do you think we are going on the picnic? Are we going to the beach or are we going to the forest? Where do you think? And then they make this decision, okay, we all want to go to the forest or we all want to go to the beach or whichever else, mountain or whatever. So once they have made that, then we have to go to that place. So we go to the beach and we say, oh, it's a very hot day, children. And look at the sand, it's so hot. And all of us, we've left our shoes in the bus. How are you going to walk? Let me see you walking now on the hot sand. How are you going to walk? So like this. So this they have to imagine and visualize, and they have to bring it out. And it's great fun. Children love doing these things. But it builds in them the fact that they are comprehending. You're giving them an idea, and they are taking that idea and building around it. They are understanding, okay, on the beach, if the sand is hot, how should I be walking? They are able to visualize it, and they are able to perform it for you. And then we have speech. The speech segment is about poetry, for example, small nursery rhymes, which helps them to learn new words, helps them to build a rhythm of how to talk, helps them to pronounce more clearly, those kind of things. So as we move through the 20 minutes, we exercise imagination, visualization, we exercise speech, then we have a small segment on mime, and then we have a small little small drama that they do at the end of it. So every week we have one class of drama with them. This is the picture of the drama class. They all love doing drama, and there's a lot of interaction with the teacher and amongst each other. This is the music program that we have. So every time we have music, we invite parents to be part of it at least once a month. So we ask parents to come in, and they do a mom and me kind of session with music. Different activities with music. We play music, get them to use the scarves to sway according to the music. Sometimes we provide them musical shakers, for example, get them to shake and beat according to the music. If there is a drum available in the school, they have to tap according to the music. So different things, different games that we play with them, related to music. Just going to stop share, just to share a game with you. And I'm hoping you'll be able to see this. So this is one of the games that we play with them. So we get them to, we place glasses like this, and then we get them to clap. So are you able to see this? I wonder, but I hope you are. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 cups are there. So we get them all to clap. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then what if we remove 1? 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Then what if we change the position? Right? 1, 2, 1, 2. So when you do these kind of exercises, it's of course a whole lot of fun for them. But then they also are learning one very important mathematical skill, the concept of place value, the concept of seriation. So all these things are also being incorporated. So music is very, very closely related to mathematics. And even if you see, most of the world's renowned mathematicians were all musicians. And music has a lot to do with beats, with counts, children, when they listen to music, their subconscious mind picks up patterns and rhythms. And that's what helps them later on in mathematics when they are supposed to learn about patterns. About how, it's always a pattern in mathematics, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's a pattern. And if the pattern is broken, then again it picks up at some point. So all these kind of programs that we have with music, of course, it builds creativity, it builds compassion. They say music is very important for building compassion in children, but it is also a very important precursor to mathematics. Getting back. So a lot of games related to music. So I think this is something that we all know already. In arts, when integrated into teaching, children love it, and singing and dancing, imagining, all this helps them to connect their body and mind, and makes it more meaningful for them, more fun for them, takes them beyond the conscious, goes into their subconscious, and that is what is helps them to take this whatever they are learning into long term memory. It has been also proved that emotions and arts are the two things that help children move information from short term memory to long term memory. So the more we use music, dance, drama, art, color, these kind of things in our learning processes, the more we are able to push it into long term memory, and we will not forget it very easily. So yeah, these are again some shots of art and clay which we all use in school, making of masks and storytelling. So all this, I'm sure all our preschools are already doing it, and these are very, very important. Many of us, sometimes if we are running late, or if we've had too many breaks, too many rain holidays, too many COVID holidays, then we almost always skip these activities thinking, oh no, I must teach letters and numbers is more important. So even today, when we are all trying to do digital classrooms, I think the most important thing that they are missing is all this. Another very important part of growing up at the ages of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the fact that children are learning from their senses. They are looking, they are feeling, they are tasting. All the information that they are gathering using their senses is going into their brains through the nervous system, and that is then going from the brain into the muscular system as messages as to what has to be done. So this whole aspect is called the sensory motor integration. So there are children who require help to ensure that the sensory motor integration becomes more and more perfect. So no child is 100% perfect, and many of our sensory motor integrations require support. So it is how do children get support for sensory motor integration? Please, let's have a lot of sports programs in our schools. Many of our preschools probably are, we don't have enough space to have a sports field, but let us take them somewhere else and let us give them the experience of sports. If we don't do that, the sensory motor integration of the children is stunted because they don't get enough stimulation for developing their sports activities, for developing their physical skills, and therefore it damages them at a later stage. So many of us concentrate on fine motor skills. We say no, until their fine motor skill is developed, they will not be able to write. So much has been said about fine motor skills. Many of us forget about their gross motor skills. But gross motor skills are as important and equally important for them to lead a healthy life. So it's very, very important that we also include a sports program in our school. So I'm not going into this for the lack of time. Let's just move on. So these are some of the sensory motor integration activities that we have in school. In addition to the 5 senses, that is eyes, ears, nose, touch and taste. In addition to these 5, there are 2 more senses that are there. They are called the proprioceptive senses and the vestibular senses. The proprioceptive senses helps the body to assess height, distance and all that. So for example, if a child has to climb the steps, how much does he have to lift his leg to put his leg on the next step? That is a proprioceptive sense. Vestibular is a balance sense. So if the child has to walk, if you put one single brick on a path and the child has to walk only on the bricks, how does he have to balance his body? So these are the two senses in addition to the 5 senses that we already know of. And many of us, as parents of today, we don't have the support perhaps of our elders who guided us very well to bring up our children. Many of us are in a hurry. Maybe we are all working women these days. We want to, get back to work. So many of us don't allow our children to spend enough time on the floor of the house, crawling, doing various activities that are very, very important for the development of sensory motor integration. So through the school program, it could be one of the activities that your preschool can introduce to bring back sensory motor integration, to ensure that all children have good sensory motor integration. It's a good activity to introduce into your schools. So collaborative exercises, very important. Teamwork, important. So I'm sure all our schools, we have a lot of group activities. Of course, today we are talking in the COVID situation. Can't say anything at present, but yet a beautiful relationship now perhaps between the teacher, the parent and the child together. So that in some sense is a collaborative effort as well. So collaboration helps children to learn how to accept each other's ideas, to learn how not to fight for things, how to work together and bring out things. Very, very important for life as well. Yes, this is the sports program I was telling you about. I think programs available nowadays, and very young teachers in our preschools are all very excited to learn and spend time with the children on the sports field. So more we are able to help children to exercise well, to use their energy in the right way. You will find you will have a lot of positives. They will get more hungry. Parents will not have trouble feeding them. They will sleep early because they'll have been so tired and exhausted with the sports activities that you have put in place. They'll be very happy to sleep early. So all these things are, positives from the sports programs that you have. I just wanted to share with you the pattern of a typical day that we have in the school, which I'm sorry, it doesn't seem to be very well organized as a page. Something's happened to the layout, but I'll just take you through it. So this is how our typical day is in the Helen O'Grady Preschool. Just wanted to share it with you. As soon as the children come in the morning, we have something called the vertical games. So vertical age group games are basically children play games, but they don't play in the same age group. They integrate age groups and they play. So on some days we have structured play where we teach them games, and on some days they play on their own, but they still play not with their own age group but with a mix of age groups. That is the first thing. The second is, of course, you have prayer and attendance and circle time and all of that. And then you have your which is basically, I think many of us call it free play. So we have the free play time, after which every day they will have either sensory motor integration activity or sports activity or gym activity or yoga or outdoor play. Some gross motor skill development time is always there every day. And then they have a snacks and cleanup, then they have their letters and number time, after which they have music and movement or kindi drama or story telling or dance program. And then they have maybe their EVS, and after that they have the art time, the atelier time. So this is how a day is planned in the Helen O'Grady preschool. Just to share this, because many times when we say, oh, you have to do sports, you have to do art, you have to do music, you have to dance, you have to do drama, you have to do storytelling. Many of us say, where is the time for this year in our time? I mean, there's no time in our day with all this. But this is how you can probably make time for these activities in the school. So I think that is my last slide. Yeah. So I just wanted to put this slide here basically because now we are doing online classes for an hour every day for the playgroup and for the nursery children, and 2 hours for the LKG and the UKG. And even though we have this on the digital, we still do our drama, yoga, music, even on the online school. So, I mean, basically, the more importance you and I give to this, the more we will keep building the impression that all this is not extracurricular activities. These are curricular activities. I think with that thought, I'd like to stop here. I hope I've not bored you guys, and please, I'm open to questions.
Indeed, ma'am. Today's world is changing, and now how it is different from what we have learned earlier. Yes, we need to keep on changing us. And in today's session, ma'am has very beautifully explained us how music, art, drama, and sports can help us to make our class effective and very creative. As we are facing challenges in our today's preschools, every day we are facing new things, and I hope this methods will help our educators. Thank you, ma'am. So we'll move on to the question answers session. Those who want to ask question can raise your hand in the chat box.
So there's a question here from Anuja, who has asked, may I know which are the 21st century skills involved? Anuja, which part do you want me to answer that? 21st century skills involved in what?
Ma'am, I heard you saying that most of our education policies inculcating that. So it was regarding the same. Just wanted to know what is it, 21st century skills?
Are you referring to the National Education Policy?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. So I think it'll be great if you can read it because it's a beautiful document, and the emphasis in the National Education Policy is on building 21st century skills. They talk very much about building creative skills, critical thinking, communication, and that's what the 21st century skills are. So they have also been talking a lot about introducing artificial intelligence from grade 5 onwards and stuff like that. So they have also done a very beautiful thing of integrating grades 1 and 2 along with the preschool to call it foundational learning. And they have said that even in grades 1 and 2, the kind of methodologies that you need to use with those children are similar to the methodologies that you use in preschool, which means more informal methods to be used, more concrete to abstract methods to be used rather than only abstract methods, which is what most schools are doing today. So, I mean, if I would love to share the NEP, the National Education Policy document with you, maybe I will send it to the organization and they can forward it to you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, there is a question from Bangera, ma'am. Ma'am, can you unmute yourself?
Yes. Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, Kumudini.
Yes, hi. Very enlightening and very informative session. Enjoying myself thoroughly. I can see just 25 minutes dedicated to the literacy and numeracy program in your entire day's schedule. Is that adequate?
Ma'am, it is. Like I told you, it really needs, we need to move away from the mindset that everything is about letters and numbers. And our children really, I mean, the children today are so bright, they are so absorbing, they learn so fast. And, the more we follow a spiral curriculum, it brings us back to revision 2 weeks or so. They are able to revise, they are able to, bring back their information that they have learned last week. So there's a constant revision of it. So rather than spending more time drilling things down their head, we introduce the concept, give them an activity or an exercise to do, and we move on and we come back to that same activity after a week's time and then build from there on.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That satisfies my query.
Thanks so much, ma'am.
Yeah, all the best, ma'am. Wonderful program.
Okay, I hope we have covered all questions. Any other questions?
No, I can't see any.
Yes, sir. Oh, Parag, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. It was great pleasure to have Archana Dange ma'am with us today. She has really shared a lot of important aspects of child learning, and that will help us to grow, help us to teach our children more better in more better way. This is the beauty of this organization. Indian National Child Association is the association whereas we share among us. It's so nice when such an international school, such a reputed and such an old school has shared their own full days program. So that was very great. Still, when we stick with a lot of preschool owners, preschool teachers, preschool heads, they are very much reluctant to share about some information or their methodology or something, even with the parents. So when education is concerned, I think education is sharing. So when we share, we grow. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot for sharing. And back to Nikita, ma'am, for thanks to pass on to me. Nikita, to you.
Yes. Feeling gratitude and not expressing it is just wrapping a present and not giving it. I invite our Indian National Child Care Committee Secretary, Urmi Zawat ma'am, to present the vote of thanks.
Unmute kar, Urmi, unmute.
Thank you, Neelam ma'am. Actually, Archana ma'am, we were mesmerized with your guidelines. The way you told each and every topic in so detail, in so clarity, I'm sure all the teachers were really very clear on the concepts of music, drama, and I'm sure they're going to implement these tips, which are very, very useful. Ma'am, I would just, from this short duration, you gave so much of things for our teachers to pick up, because you told that preschools are not supposed to be called preschools, they are supposed to be called as, we are early learners, because we should understand the needs of the small children, because they are learners and we are dealing with the early age. So it was too good, ma'am. How you gave us tips how to increase the creativity in children. And the questions which you told us to ask, what if? When we ask our children what if, and when we give them different options, it is then when the children start thinking in different ways. Because we always provide them with a lot of answers, ready-made answers, as teachers and as parents. But when we make them think, it increases their creativity. So ma'am, that was too good, and we teachers promise that henceforth we are going to make our children think, what if? We'll try to give them different, yes ma'am, we are sure that we are going to use this technique in our daily lesson. You also gave us a lot of insight about the music. I'm sure all of us and our children do love music. but how music is connected to listening skill. That was extremely good. And we now understand the importance of music and listening. The drama expression which you told, ma'am, which we need to implement in our classrooms, where all the children will be starting expressing themselves. Because until and unless we give them a platform, the children won't be able to express themselves. So you gave us a very deep insight as to why drama has to be inculcated in our lessons. And oh, very well said, ma'am. We never realized that mathematics is very much connected to music. But now we'll understand that when we teach them music, they learn a lot of patterns, and mathematics is directly connected to music. So, ma'am, we are sure that music, drama, and art, it really impacts the child's mind. And we are as teachers going to use these techniques which you have provided us with our children, which is definitely going to help them in their long-term memory. Ma'am, all these things you have given us, and we now realize that the sensory, uh, motor, and all the integration which they do is a lot much developed by the sports. So we as teachers, and we have a lot of parents today joined with us. So even the parents are going to use these things, art, drama, sports, and creativity in their lessons. As the teachers are playing a big role in the lockdown, as well as the parents are doing the same. So, ma'am, I can't express in my words how much thankful Indian National Child Care Association is for you, because you have given the maximum to us. Thank you, Archana ma'am. I'm really very obliged by your presence and your sharing. I also thank the president of Indian National Child Care Association, who has decided to bring a series of workshops for all the teachers and giving a lot to the society. Thank you, Parag sir, for arranging so many seminars for all the teachers. I also thank the workshop and seminar committee for taking up the responsibility. Thank you, Moon ma'am, and the whole committee. You are really doing great things. Meenakshi ma'am and Neelam ma'am, you were too good today. And I also thank all the participants who are very much dedicated for their children, who are true learners in true sense, because this series is a learner series, season 2. And all these participants are a true learners. So thank you, participants. Without you, it wouldn't have been possible. Uh, we also again meet up on 30th September with a new topic at the same time. But before that, I would just request all of you to be associated with us so that we grow together, we learn a lot of things. Indian National Child Care Association is for you all, and we invite you for the same. I won't take much of your time, and thank you each and everyone present today. I hand it over to Parag sir. Parag sir, over to you.
Thank you, Urmi. You have really taken all the revision. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Archana ma'am. It was really very good session and very good learning happened. I also like to thank Prema ma'am, Prema Daniel ma'am. She has given me an opportunity to be associated with Archana ma'am. Archana ma'am, this organization is social NGO which work for the skill enhancement of the teachers. As I told you, these small and standalone preschool owners and teachers, they do not have much platform where they can enhance their skill. We are trying to do our best, and we are part of this preschool education society. We are very much part of this preschool education society. So thanks a lot, ma'am. Over here, with all your permission, I announce this today's learners meet session to be adjourned. Thank you. We will remain on for five more minutes. If anybody wants to share something, if anybody wants to give any feedback on this training, on our program, you can definitely. Yes, I know, Achana ma'am, you can leave. Definitely, if you wish, you can leave. But there might be some people for 1 or 2 minutes they can share with you. Yes, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. It was good today. You have really cope up with that me losing out. So thank you. Meenakshi ma'am, you have really done a lot of inputs you have made. Thank you. I could see a lot of senior teachers along with us today. And Shada ma'am,
Thank you, sir.
yeah. Shada ma'am, very nice to see you. Shada ma'am, how do you came to know about our program? Please unmute.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Yes, ma'am.
Your session was very, very interesting, very informative. I think almost all the teachers will definitely benefit out of it. See, she has touched almost each and every aspect of preschool. That is what we call it as the holistic development. Everything. And very beautifully, she has brought it like how it can be implemented through games, then music, dance, then beautifully she has, within a very short time, she has very beautifully told us about the storytelling. Fantastic, very nice session. I came through WhatsApp. I came to know about your session through WhatsApp.
Thanks a lot for joining us. We were very pleased and we were very obliged by your presence, ma'am. Thank you. Can you just introduce yourself in one or two sentences? Ada, ma'am?
Hello?
Can you please introduce in one or two sentences the participant? Introduce yourself, please.
You want me to introduce myself?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The participant will come to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I am Mrs. Sharda. I was working for ICD as Integrated Child Development Services as Assistant Director Training, and I have been in this field of child development for the past 30 years. And I concentrate more on training and then and also on curriculum development. And I have also organized quite a lot of workshops.
Thank you, Sharda ma'am. Thanks a lot. We would really like to be in touch with you. Ma'am, you can reach us to Facebook. Our Facebook account is there, RNCCA Nasik. So you can or you can mail us. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Do anybody want to share anything? You can share. We will end our meeting in 5 minutes now.
Sir, we had some of our parents also with us today.
Okay. If they want to share, they can share. Any parents, if any parents is there, they can share.
We had Kalash Mummy and Palak's Mummy with us today.
It's okay. Thank you. I hope everybody is quite happy and we will end the meeting now. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Neelam. Thank you, Neelam ma'am. Thank you, Meenakshi ma'am. Thank you for handling everything so well. Sir, it was very good. We had around 56 participants today. It was very good, and madam also were too good. Archana ma'am delivered the things in very short time, but very informative knowledge. Very nice.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I would too like to thank you and for Parag sir for supporting me all the time because I was very tense. How I'm going to handle on such a big platform was first time, mine for first time. And really, I felt very comforted. And second thing, thanks for giving me the opportunity and very beautiful our INCC group is going on. And with the sessions, very, very interesting and very fruitful for us. And today's session was very beautiful. Archana ma'am was very good, very nice. She has explained us everything. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the session.
Yeah, thank you. It was our pleasure, ma'am, having you. We'll end the meeting. We'll end the meeting over here. Bye. See you all on
Bye, ma'am.
Wednesday.
Bye.
See you all on Wednesday, 30th.